Okay, so you remember that just before we were looking at finding the sample size to get a particular width or a particular sampling error. So the sampling error was half the total width and the width was the total width. So it was twice the sampling error. And we came up with this formula, which will be on your formula sheet in the exam, or this formula for the sampling error. So I just wanted to show you a quick example with that. So we've got investigating the size of eggs produced by those in Australia compared to overseas. It's claimed by many people that eggs are small in size compared to overseas eggs. So the standard deviation of the weight of eggs is 5.2 grams. That's going to be very key. So I'm going to highlight that right now. So we want to calculate the sample size of eggs that the scientists should take if they wish to determine an approximate 95% confidence interval for the true mean weight of the egg populations with a width no greater than 3 grams. Okay, so do we use this formula or this formula? Now I'm hoping you say it's this formula because you'll notice in the question that they talked about the width. So width no greater than 3 grams. So instantly we're thinking width, and we know that we're not calculating the confidence interval, we're calculating the sample size because that's what it tells us to do in the question. Okay, so I'm just going to substitute the values. So 5.2 there, and our width is 3 grams. And then it's a simple matter of using your calculator to find that that is equal to 42.68. Okay, so we have to go and sample 42.68 eggs. Now, what are we going to do about the 0.68? Well, if we round down and say, okay, we are only going to sample 42 eggs, then that's not going to be big enough. So remember that as the sample size increases, your width is going to decrease because there's an inversely proportional relationship between the sample size and the width. Probably just for good sake you could write the formula there, but it doesn't really matter. So we have to round up. So if we round down and do 42, we're not going to get a big enough, or we're going to get a interval that's too big. So we're going to have to round up to ensure that our interval is no greater than 3 grams. So the sample size needs to be at least 43 eggs, and so we always round up for these questions. So just a note, we always round up for these questions, and the sample size needs to be at least 43 eggs. Okay, so I hope that makes things slightly clearer.